Hi, my name is Tor Inge Vasshus. I'm the founder and the CEO of Corporator. I'd like to take you through a journey about software selection today. There are many ways to evaluate software. Selecting the right software for your company, I think, is very important. Of course, you might say I'm not neutral because I represent a software company, and I follow you on that. But what I would like to say is, and this is my first principle, I think you should go and talk to all vendors out there. Ask them, what is important? You might think you know what's important for your company, that you should ask for this and this, but I think you actually can learn a lot by talking to the vendors ahead of the tender process. So I think it's a good and sound principle. Talk to the vendors and build up knowledge before you go out tendering. My second observation is it's not about functionality, because all vendors can deliver all functionality that you can ever imagine asking about. So if it's not about functionality, what is it about then? I think it's about how the functionality is implemented in the software. You need to challenge the vendors. And the way you challenge the vendors is to ask them questions like, describe how the following functionality is implemented. Use the word describe, this is a keyword. Not just let them go away with yes or no or checkbox, but let them really describe how the functionality is implemented. Ask them for a guide so you can see your screenshot, your business model, and you can see actually if you are able to implement this in your organization. My third observation is about change. You might think you know how you would like to have things implemented. Software vendors require a high level of detail. So what we see is that people are not ready to respond to these details. And if you see how projects are run, the vendors try to lock you into a design phase where they should fix the design. So you cannot change after you have fixed the design, because they would like to build a data warehouse based on your fixed design. But my thinking is that you are not able to give them all the details ahead, because it will change all the time. And actually these projects, strategy management, strategy execution, performance management, it's about change. So don't go into this trap of agreeing, I'll lock the project, I'll lock the design phase, because if you do that, they will issue a change request for all the time, for every time you are changing the scope. And you will change the scope all the time. My next observation is how you run the tender process. It's not enough of just looking at the generic demos, seeing nice PowerPoints, or just reading through the tender documents. What you need is evidence. I think you need evidence on how to create the KPI, and you should challenge the vendors in the meeting. When you see them presenting the proposal, you just say, can you just create a KPI for me? Show me. And this gives you evidence. This gives you the comfort that you need. And you can also continue and say, can you please add an assessment here? Show me. I also need an initiative. Can you add an initiative? Show me how it works. You need to have this good feeling before you sign up with a new software vendor. And if you are unsure, go for a half-day workshop. Come with your strategy plans, your strategy maps, your KPIs, and challenge them. At the end, you probably have a good feeling. Then you can sign. If you don't have the good feeling, don't sign. My last observation is that an enterprise performance management project is really not a project. It's actually an ongoing process. And it continues after the consultants have left you. And then the key question comes up. Who will manage the software on a daily basis? Has the implementation team delivered enough documentation? Have they been sharing their knowledge so you are able to operate this on a daily basis? This is key, and I think you should ask for this in your tender documents. At the end, I would like to wish you good luck with your software selection process. And in order to help you, Corporator has developed a document that you can download from a web page, and it can help you select the best software. Because this is what we want. We want you to have the best software. That's why we have made this guide. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to send me an email. I'll be more than happy to respond. Good luck and all the best.